Effects. Ultra key. So, ultra key is a very cool thing, because keying itself has been a problem area for quite a long time. In order to separate something, we had to calculate the video, send it to After Effects, separate it in After Effects, and then send the video to Adobe Premiere. We did this before the advent of Ultra Key. It appeared exactly at the moment when CUDA hardware acceleration appeared, and when the Premiere Engine began to be rewritten to 64-bit. It happened in version CS5, 5 before the advent of Creative Cloud. Then came the Ultra Key, and it was very cool, because I had to separate a lot at the time. This feature saved me and shortened the project development period by an entire work shift, because keying took a very long time. Therefore, everything has become much easier with Ultra Key. How does keying happen now? Now we will look at an example of an ideal key that we will never encounter in our life, but we will start with it. Let's take a video with a person who is on a green screen, create a separate sequence for it, and turn on the transparency grid. Next, we move the Ultra Key to it. Next step is that we need to specify which key, it is color, we want to isolate. In this case, we have a completely uniform green background. We click on the green background using the pipette or the key color parameter. Then it will disappear. The only thing that we can take a closer look is the borders. When we will zoom in frame, we will see that we don't have good enough key, because we see a checkerboard for it. We have a parameter such as output in order to evaluate the quality of a key. Now this parameter has the resulting video with background, etc. In order to estimate the quality of a key, we need to change output to alpha channel. In principle, the result is normal, but not white enough, and there are defects in some places. It's enough to do just one thing. For 95% of cases, there is a setting parameter that we need to change from default to aggressive. When you turn it on, the internal setting of the effect will change, that help you cope with most tasks. At the same time, if we return output to composite, we will see that the borders have become clearer, and the checkerboard is no longer visible for the person. For compression, we return setting to default, where we see the borders as double lines, and translucency in some places. The green screen gives a green tint, so the objects will be partially transparent, and if we change setting to aggressive again, we will get an almost perfect result. The main thing is that we make a clear border. There are no holes on the object itself. In general, it's quite a satisfactory key, but there is a minus, an unnecessary thing got into the frame. Such situation often occur when you shot real keys and something gets into the frame. A light device, the edges of a green screen, because it doesn't always hang on a full wall. There are folding green screens, and you, for example, wanted to quickly spread it out on the street and shoot the person. As a result, you need to remove things that shouldn't get into the frame. Then you do the following. It would seem that you need to use a mask on the Ultra Key. But what happens then? Look, if we crop an unnecessary object with a mask on the Ultra Key, the following will happen. It will limit the effect of the Ultra Key effect. So, this is not what we need. I am deleting it from here. You should see what I do. When we have fit here, it will be very difficult to make a mask outside of a frame, because it doesn't allow us to put a point. So we zoom out in order to make the mask outside of a frame. Then we'll be able to put the mask points outside the frame. In this case, we need to apply the mask to the opacity effect. We should make sure that the mask doesn't cut off the hands when gesturing. Now we have a completely good key to work with. We can edit a background to it by adding, for example, blue color mate. Also, if we want to make the background less boring and monotonous, we can apply a blur to it, an artificially created gradient. To do it, we need to take a novel mask on opacity, pull it out on the program window and configure the mask thither. So far, it doesn't look very good, because we can see the checkerboard. But as soon as we turn it off, we will have a uniform background gradient. So, we made a keying of our presenter and mark him for the background. Also, we can deal with a more complex key. For example, that's it. This key is closer to reality. And if we apply an ultra key to it, even with aggressive setting, and turn on output alpha channel, we will see that a gray field has appeared in the corner, something that didn't key in. We can see it if we look in the composite output, but if we put the background here, there will be noise at this corner. There are signs of poor keying that we don't need. No one needs noise on the key, especially if we hide our effect. What should we do in this case? In this case, we will have to conjure a little, because the green screen is never uniformly highlighted in real life. There is always a gradient. For example, it's a solar flare. Somewhere the green color is lighter, somewhere is darker, etc. Therefore, we need to look for a point that we'll mark with a pipette. We need to choose the average value somewhere between shades of green. For example, in our case, the green color in the corner drops out. So, we need to click somewhere between the dropped out and the real green color. Then, we look at the alpha channel. Here you see, it's already pure. The corner has no noise. Some reflexes of green remained, but it's much more difficult to find them. At least, we want this corner. The main thing is that you understand the principle. You need to look for a point between the keying green tones and the non-keying green tones. The desired tone of green will be somewhere between these values. That's all about keying of green screen.